Welcome to, I don't even know what episode. This is episode 34 of the New Jazz Swing podcast with myself, with Stevie Street, Sheldon Taylor, and my name Nnamdi. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Doing well.
It's definitely good to see you guys. How has the week been?
Good to see you, Sheldon. Good to see you after a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The last time we saw you, I think you was about to announce your number 7 or 8 troop track, and then you just disappeared. We've not seen you.
Hey, I don't know what's going on, man. I keep switching back and forth, and I couldn't get on, man. It was ridiculous.
yeah. That was something that. Well, just for the record, for those who were following us, what was going to be your number one troop song?
My number two, my number one.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta go back into Instagram because I sent it to you guys.
I know what it was.
What was it, Steve?
It was "Spread My Wings."
There you go. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first time with all three of us had the same number one.
Yeah.
And you wasn't there, and we just wasn't there to celebrate the fact.
To celebrate history being made.
Anticlimax.
Yeah. Number one.
Hey guys, welcome Big Mike, Old School Flavor, welcome. Who else has just joined us here? Mac, welcome. Looking forward to this.
Our loyal regulars, listeners are here.
Yes.
All of you. I'll tell you what, it's been a dramatic. I know it's not a sports podcast, but what a dramatic weekend it's been for sports as well, with the undisputed heavyweight title on the. Oh, that was a fantastic fight last night, unbelievable drama, and then the best team in the world win the Premier League four times in a row. So what a weekend it's been! What a weekend! And guess what? New Kids on the Block have released a new album. I don't know how they keep going, but they're still here. Still kids, they're saying. Still kids.
Oh, so it's not a reissue, is it? Like a brand new album?
There's a track on here with Jazzy Jeff. There's another track called Old School Love, which a lot of listeners will like. It's got a very late 80s, 808, mid-tempo R&B feel to it. The rest of it's quite poppy, but for a bit of nostalgia reasons, happy to find this in the record store on Saturday. Very happy. You know?
Okay, it sounds like Big Mike's an Arsenal fan, so he's not happy. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's end of season stuff. Music wise, okay, so New Kids on the Block just released that.
This lady as well. Can you remember what group she was from, Nnamdi?
And I can't see her name. What's her name?
Jasnay Lewis.
Is she not Eternal?
Nearly, the other group that were
All Saints, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Quite a very I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan of All Saints back then. I am now for nostalgic reasons because I kind of miss all that. But it's quite a mature album, this, quite variety, but again, very surprised, happy to pick this up in store. On Friday, Saturday, yeah, so very happy about that. Have you noticed none of my CDs, the new ones, I don't think I ever opened them.
Oh, is it just for collection?
Yeah, just sealed. I love a sealed CD. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, Marty Johnson, goodness, he's a massive. Does anyone know? He's still asking the question. You still have the actual CDs.
Yeah.
So Martin A. Johnson is a legendary entertainment show host and interviewer. He's been down with doing this for many years, and he's definitely inspiration. So it's a pleasure, sir, to see you on board. Yes. But yes, and David, welcome. Let me see the last person here. Welcome as well. But today,
hey Nnamdi, I'll tell you this in the listeners now in that comments.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch or you ever seen any Marvel comics? You know Marvel, the company.
Yes.
You've seen all the designs, all the character designs.
Yeah.
There's somebody in there tonight who draws and designs for Marvel comics. I don't know if you want his name mentioned, so I'm not going to mention his name, but You know, he'd all them superheroes that you see in Marvel comic, he draws them all.
Wow.
In fact, he's on Instagram. It's David Yarding. You can check him out on Instagram. Check out all his designs. And he's also a big fan of Teddy and Blackstreet. That's probably why he's here tonight. So,
okay. Wow.
David, you're welcome. Marvel heroes that we see, he's drawn them all. He's done all the designs for them.
Oh, definitely welcome, guys. Last Exit Brooklyn, Michelle, welcome. So today is our top 10 SWV, and it's actually fitting because they are going on this Queens of R&B tour with Escape, and so it's actually fitting that we think about their catalog. Because where would you say? I start with you, Sheldon. Where would you say SWV are when it comes to R&B, especially during the 90s?
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because when I was going over my top 10, I just kind of jotted down, for me, the 3 definitive 90s female groups, and they are in that top 3 for the other 2 were In Vogue and TLC. And the reason why I put SWV in that elite category, obviously there were a lot of great and good female groups in that time, but I think SWV really stood out because they had a strong musical vocal identity that carried over from release to release. You know, hear them strong identity, lead, background vocals, even the music that they make from album to album, it has a unique sound. Even if the initial people who were producing the records when they first came out, you still see that continuity. So I think that they really stand out for me. Like I said, a lot of great groups, but they are, for me, one of the top 3 definitive R&B female groups of the 1990s.
Yes. I mean, Stevie, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I'm thinking, which girl group was it that, like you say, really defined the 90s? Was it En Vogue? Was it Jade? Was it SWV? You know, which they're up there, aren't they? I mean, I was compiling my top 10, and I thought, I don't know if I've got a definitive favorite. I've got lots of favorites, but do I have an actual favorite? Because my top 10 could just run down like a greatest hits, to be quite honest. Okay. Number 1 tonight. The number 1 I've ended up. I'm like, I've surprised myself. I'm like, how did this get a number 1? But what, especially on the first album, like you say, Shell, what a run. What an unbelievable run they had on that first album.
Yeah, I mean, their first album, that's like a greatest hits record, and their first album trumps 90% of their contemporaries' careers. Really. You're talking about a first album. If they never made another record ever, that was like a greatest hits album, man. Yeah. You know, so I really give it to them. They had a unique sound. Everyone else is great, but a lot of those female R&B groups, as good as they were, as appealing as they were like a producer's muse, meaning that as long as the producers they had with them were around, that's how long their careers were going to last record-wise, you know. And when they veered off and went with other collaborators, you know, those other female groups lost a step. But I just think that SWV really did a great job in terms of longevity, but just putting out quality music, you know, and for them to sidestep all the issues that they had and still continue to do, you know, up until now, even when you listen to a lot of the recent music that they've done, it's still in the vein of what they did. It's an actual sound. So yeah, that's why I have them in that top 3 for me.
I mean, we haven't mentioned TLC, have we? I'm looking at the real big girl.
Yeah, but it almost feels as if TLC would never. Okay, I want to be mindful what I say because they weren't as see SWV were very much vocalist and R&B. When I look at TLC, they mixed a lot of stuff and they actually became so popular. But you know, I think sexy was a crazy, sexy, cool. Amazing R&B album, but then, but yeah, I think SWV would be. You know, we look at those 2 groups, and Vogue started it off, and they were amazing, but I don't think In Vogue endured as much as SWV has done. It's almost like Boyz II Men and Jodeci. Boyz II Men sold more records, but Jodeci it feels more like, yeah, these are our own. So and the fact that the ladies, if you see their pictures they're taking now, if you see the fact that they're still celebrated, even after all the hardship they went. So TLC were not on that level. Yeah, it's straight. Well, TLC were a female version of BBC. It's interesting how if we were to start looking at what TLC and SWV, I don't know if TLC have the same people who love SWV love TLC the same way.
Well, I think that when you look at TLC, obviously, Left Eye's not around, but for them, when you look at over the course of all the releases that they've done, they've carried over, from album to album, from the very first one, on the TLC tip, all the way to maybe Fan Mail. There was always they had a presence. Going, and then of course, when you look into, and we're just talking about records, if we're talking about records, they had a presence. But to the fact that they're still touring and they're still doing arenas really says a lot for them, that they were able to transcend just the record, because there were a lot of 90s single, individual solo artists and groups, but they were really defined by their records. But when it came to the appearances, public appearances and things of that nature, performances, the performance aspect of it just didn't really, they had big records, but the performances necessarily didn't line up with the hits, but when you look at those three groups, in my opinion, everything balanced out. And like, just to make it a point, what you said with In Vogue, I think the first three records were like the peak, but they still continued. And I think what allowed them to just maintain that is that they didn't function like there was just like one lead singer and there were backgrounds. I think their durability, their versatility really contributed to their longevity as a group. Again, so many, but look at those three, you look at Jade has some good records, Cut Close has some good records, but I just think that they weren't able to transition over when you pulled those producers and you pulled the label situations out from their whole dynamic. They just weren't able to transition over. But again, they're part of that 90s legacy, though.
Yeah.
Could the other two girls have went, because I know Coco, she did a solo album, didn't she, which had some really good stuff on it.
Yeah.
Could the other two have gone solo? I wonder why they didn't, actually. Could they not got a deal?
Well, the thing... Well,
go
ahead, Nnamdi. Go ahead, because I know you interviewed Lily, so you got that.
Yeah, because Coco was the voice, and that was the unfortunate thing about SWV that I spoke to Brian about. That I wish he had showcased all three voices, because it just means that everyone has a stake in the game. Where we and it isn't Diana Ross and Supremes kind of situation. But we all admit that Coco's voice was one of the defining voices, like Aaron Hall. So when you're thinking of voices in the 90s, female, Coco was probably up there, the most recognizable, the most powerful voice. And Lily even said, look, Coco could sing anything, but she wished they all had opportunity to shine. So they only went for Coco. And this is where Lily had, she went and got a 9 to 5 and, just turned her back on the industry until, things got sorted out and they all came back together. But it's like any big group that has Cisco, they went and got him, giving him an album deal, because he was the face. And that's always that danger when they don't share the wealth, like other groups, Blackstreet. At least they shared stuff around, so it's Teddy and the others. So you do want that. But yeah.
Yeah, but when you look at those groups that you brought that up, I know we're moving forward. When you look at that, but it's a testament to the Dru Hill brand. It's a testament to the SWV brand, that even though there may have been the way the management and the way the labels actually, you know, had one vocal centerpiece, they didn't survive the brand. They didn't spin off like a Michael Jackson and go on to a wider dynamic and to greater success. So they eventually had to come back. So in this particular case, the group itself was the thing. So even though people, you know, they may have come out respectively with their records, people were really drawn to the group.
Yeah. Okay. So no, I don't think Lily was
seen him
dropping
live?
up.
Have you seen him live, Sheldon Nnamdi, SWV live?
I have not seen him live. Have not seen him.
I've seen him twice.
Okay, I know. And Mike just Big Mike said he saw them when they came last year to Big Mike. So when they came to London, no, I've not seen. I don't think so. No, I've not seen them live.
I've seen him in '93 on tour, and I probably mentioned this on a previous podcast, but with Me to You was supporting, who was signed to RCA at the time. An intro as well. They came to Manchester. Wow. I mean, that was some gig. I took my sister, but they had so much energy. I mean, in complete contrast to 20 odd years later when they played at Wembley's at the O2 or something when I saw them live. But they just had so much energy, dancing. It was a very energetic New Jack type of set. Brilliant. I'll never forget it. Wow. And obviously Kenny Green, to see Kenny Green live is just yeah. They were supporting SWV. They weren't even the main act. But
well, you know, yeah, Buddy was dating Coco, but back during those days. So they were all
they were touring. They probably got together on that tour. You know?
Yeah, they were dating. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen in the intro documentary, Coco, they both share it. So they both talk about it in the intro documentary that came out. But yeah, I mean, as I said, you know, but they're still celebrated right now. I'm really fortunate. I've gone to interview both Coco, Lily twice, and but yeah, and you know, maybe, but they've got they've got new management, and actually them and it's amazing how they're being celebrated more now correctly. You know, when you get the right team around you that are opening big doors and stuff. So, but yeah. So, and then
here's another question for you guys before I start. Did you ever? I mean, a lot of the tracks that I heard them in clubs. So, did you ever hear the tracks like being played in clubs? Have you got good memories of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The album that I. So, let's talk about the favorite albums. Because if I think about my favorite SWV album, it's strange that my favorite album is the least favorite by Lily and the girls. But what is your favorite? I mean, okay. I think the first album it's one of those sort of 90s. If we had a 90s Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame for the 90s R&B album, I think it's all about time. It's about time the first album would go in there. It'll just be, okay, you put that in there. But then I think I actually enjoyed listening to Release Some Tension. It had a lot of hip hop features in it, but I felt that was one of the albums I enjoyed at the time. I remember just playing it and rinsing it. I actually played it more than the debut album. I think the debut album had the singles, but I preferred Release Some Tension. What about you guys?
Go on, Sheldon.
For me, it might be A New Beginning, but I understand why you like Release Some Tension, because it was like a curveball. It was like something. They were still SWV, but it was really locked into that sound, and it just showed how versatile they were. I'm sure that, maybe Lily didn't like the collaborations, and back then,
yeah, they didn't like all the hip hop. Yeah, it was a rap album featuring SWV. That's how she saw it.
Well, think about it is that, I mean, she has a point, because when you look at everybody who was on that record, they were like huge. They were huge stars.
Yeah. It was going through it. You had Puff Daddy opening up, then you had Foxy Brown, you had Redman, then you had Little Kim and Little C's, then you had Missy, then you had Little Kim, E40, and then Snoop Dogg, and then a few slow jams with Rain.
But
so at that time, 97, 98.
That was the that was the feature. So I mean, you coming on board in terms of that, but it's obviously when it comes to when you have a catalog, there's always be certain albums and certain parts of the catalog that a lot of people don't like, and it's strange, like you said, how that could be a fan favorite, but the artist who created the album, they're like, they don't. It's their least. But also too, the songs were good, but when you look at the cloud that's hovering over them going into the studio to create the music, that definitely can impact a person's opinion of the work at that time. But that's how it is, man. But it was a great album for that time.
Yeah, but even Brian was, they had a falling out between New Beginnings and that time because he wrote the songs, he made the publishing side of it, and so they, management started to point the figure like he's making all the money, so we're going to have to get him less stuff. So it caused that friction. So he only had one song, Rain, on that album, which he was paid to give to Brandy. So it was just an amazing stuff. But anyway, everyone who's just joining us, we want to welcome you. Marco, Aki, Water, everyone, just welcome you guys. So, and as you're chatting, we're all seeing it. So, but we won't break into that. But we'll just know that we're seeing you and we appreciate that you're on because it's our show.
Almost like a side podcast going on.
It definitely is. So everyone that's chatting, please make you realize that this makes the show. So we appreciate everything.
Shame we've not got a cup of tea and a cup of coffee for biscuits to hand out as well.
Yeah. So Stevie, do you want to start us off with your number 10?
I might as well. This is the only track in my top 10 tonight that wasn't a single because I thought my top 10 looks like a greatest hits. It's got to be an album cut that was a favorite of mine, and I've got to start in true New Jack Swing style. There was a couple of heavy New Jack tracks on the debut album, on this big album, of course, and I've gone with Think You're Gonna Like It, number 10. Think You're Gonna Like It. Very underrated, very happy. Great upbeat New Jack track. I have just great memories of it. It's gone straight in at my number 10. And like you say, it wasn't a single. It's the only it's the only album cut that wasn't a single in my top 10.
Oh, okay. I think I did a little bit more than you, but yeah, it was good. As I said, it was and at the time, I think, as I said, that you couldn't go away from not doing a New Jack track. Even if you had other things, you just needed to put it there just in case. What about yourself, Sheldon?
Okay, my number 10, and just I feel what you're doing, Stevie. But I did the same thing at first, man. But when I was just going through the catalog, it was just, man, it was like, wow, when you saw the hits that they had, it was just ridiculous, man. So my number 10, is All About You. That was a great record, and one thing I loved about it, it shows how they could sing over different type of tracks, different type of beats, different type of musical styles. So, and I just loved it. And then I love the bridge, I love the background harmonies on the record. So It's All About You was my number 10.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Was that off the New Beginnings album?
That is off the New Beginnings. No. That is 97. So the New Beginnings came out, 96?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Hold on a minute. I've got the album here. 96 was New Beginnings.
So this one, someone came out in 90. I'm sorry, It's All About You was New Beginnings. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
That was my least favorite album. Even
I
that
thought it's a very mature album. You need to go back and listen to that.
Well, I did recently because after I think when I was getting ready to interview Daryl Simmons and Coco and Lily, I went to listen to it. Yeah, it's my least favorite album.
Well, I'd be very surprised if there's one particular track on that album that isn't in your top 10 tonight, Nnamdi.
I think there's only one that made the cut.
It must be that one I'm thinking. Well, let's see anyway.
Anyway, But my number 10, it was a good track. It was a big track for them, but I couldn't listen to it too often. And it was Anything, which is a remake by All Star. But it was a big track. I think it was off the basketball film. What was that basketball? The Tupac film.
Above the Rim.
Above the Rim, yeah. So it was a big track off that album, and I think it was big when it came out. But I think if I listened to it too much, I sort of did get bored of it. But yeah, that made my number 10.
I'll be honest, I got tired of it quickly.
Probably yeah, well, me too. But it was a big. It was.
Well, it was a solid soundtrack. I think what they did with it, the mix that they put on the set was, it made for a really good, strong soundtrack.
Yeah.
I got a bit kind of tired of it. I don't know why, but maybe it's the.
It just was.
I can't explain it.
The song was just everywhere, man, and
yeah, I think that was it.
Coming out, it gave that album a long, extended run. I mean, the album comes out in '92. And Above the Rim comes out in '94, man. It's just that album, man.
It's funny, they just reissued that Above the Rim on vinyl. There's like a 30th reissue double vinyl of it that's just come out over the weekend. So
yeah, so Phil, it was the remix with Wu-Tang that I'm referring to, not the original version. So because I know. Nice. The original version is nice, but it was slower.
You talk about the original version or the remix, Nnamdi?
No, the remix, the one on the Above the Rim soundtrack with Wu-Tang.
Even though you said number 10, even though you got bored of it,
because it had an impact.
Track at number 10 that you're not bored of. That's this. I always give. Why don't you just pick a track that you're not bored of listening to, Nnamdi?
Says the guy who has 2 number 10s, 3 number 1s.
Yeah, but I'm not bored of them, Nnamdi. I'm not bored of them.
I didn't say I was bored. I said it's kind of like I can't listen to it too often. But I have to acknowledge it was a big track, and it was definitely and then that's just it's just the thing about SWV is that they started to really command. I think that remix, and I think they did a lot of things with remixing. That Puffy used to say, "Well, we invented the remix," but no, I think when you think about some of their first album out tracks that got remixed, that became a completely different song, which I'm sure some of us will have on there. It's one of the things that made them stand out. Yeah. So, Stevie, what's your number 9?
Who we got in the chat tonight? We've got Kev the Chef. How you doing, sir? We've got Baby Girl. He's posting quite a lot there. How you doing, miss?
Akin hasn't been around for a while. That's Akin, yeah.
We've got Walters in there. We've got Marco. We've got M-Mac. Yep, they're busy in there. Just kind of off topic a little. We did an amazing interview the other night with a producer artist called Keith Andes, which hopefully will be running on Halftime Chat. Is it?
Starting tomorrow. Yeah, starting on Monday.
Great.
Yeah.
I wish all guests were like him. Stop it told us, Sheldon. It'll just blow your head away. Just blow your head away. But anyway, number 10, do check that Keith Andes interview and his new album. Right, number 9, I'm sticking with this album. I don't know why it's at number 9 because it's a great track, but it's weak. It's the album mix. There's remixes of it.
Wow.
Brilliant ballad. I suppose the remix took it into mid-tempo territory, but just strong, very strong song, wasn't it? Very strong.
At number 9. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's
could be high. I don't know why.
Anyone out there, would you put weekly?
I don't even know why my number 1 is number 1 tonight, but it just landed there. It just landed there, So,
oh goodness.
Oh dear.
What about you, Sheldon? What goes to number 9?
Is that their collaboration with BBD? It's called Finally.
Oh, I don't think I heard that.
I'm telling you, listen to it. It's very, very good. Just their voices. It's just, man, it blended very, very good with BBD's doing their thing or whatever, man. And obviously Coco's in great form. But it's called Finally. Great record. It's like a mid-tempo, almost like it's like a ballad. It's a mid-tempo ballad. It's really, really nice, man. So that's my number 9.
Okay. No. Okay. And yeah, I haven't heard of that one. Okay. I need to check that out. Has anyone heard of Finally? What album was it on?
It was on the BBD album, Three Stripes.
I need to go
Okay.
back to that album.
Okay.
I didn't forget I had SWV on it.
2017. And they were on that album.
Okay.
Is that allowed, Nnamdi? That the fact that he's chosen he's chosen, they're not even, it's not their track, it's the featuring on somebody else's track.
But
is that allowed?
But it
is.
is.
But
when
that
you
the first yellow card tonight?
listen, when you collaborate on someone, it's a shared record. It's a shared.
Well, as long as he doesn't do Coco, Will Smith, Men in Black featuring Coco.
No.
I mean that then.
Oh, that's a work for hire type situation. But you know, that's a shared record. You know.
Yeah, no,
it's different. But I do have a curveball. You know.
He always digs deep into the universe and pulls one out for us.
One of my honorable mentions, you know, I do have one of those. I just want to let you know in advance. But go ahead.
Leon was talking about Blackstreet's Tonight remix featuring SWV. I would actually say that's probably that. Okay, I have to be mindful as I speak because. But yeah, no, I the original. I think most of us would always say that, you know, Tammy should have been on featured on that video. But anyway.
What about Big Dykes there through in the old David Foster featuring SWV?
That would be funny. Yeah, no, Baby Girl, Men in Black is great, but it wasn't an SWV track. And actually, Coco didn't want to be on it. She didn't even be in the video because she thought it was going to be so whacked that she didn't even feature in the video. She didn't realize how big it was going to be. My number 9 is off the Release Some Tension. This is the one with Redman singing "Lose My Cool." And at this time I was really a big Redman fan, but how he raps and how that track was, I think it is my favorite SW album. But "Lose My Cool" is my number 9. Yeah, so that makes my number 9. So SWV featuring John B and Jay-Z?
No, I forgot about that track. That's a great track. That is, yeah.
Okay,
look. What was that on now? It's the one with the girl on the front cover. Is it 97, 98? Big Mike's. What soundtrack was it? Remind me. Woo was some of that. Was it Woo? I'm sure it was Woo. Was it Woo or I can't.
Okay. No, I didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed Redman singing along with SW. That's what made that album funny. Okay. I said Have Plenty. Was it on Have Plenty?
Have Plenty, that's it.
Okay. No, I didn't realize that. Okay, number 8.
Hey, tell them about the other interview you've done this week as well, Nnamdi, that we've got us waiting on.
John B. So yes, two hours with John B. And I would say that anyone who's watched any of my 150 interviews, it's probably the most it was very different because it was mainly going through his catalog, and he's one of the coolest guys. So but just because we've just had so much stuff that I parked that. So but yeah, that'll come soon. But
last
anyway,
exit to Brooklyn who is the best dancer? Stevie, Nnamdi, or Sheldon? If you'd have asked me in 1996, I'd have said me without a doubt. Me now with my bad knees, probably Sheldon will probably outdance me now.
Good as that. We may try and do a dance off one of these days. Yeah. Oh, Stevie, what's number 8?
Number 8. Again, I'm staying with this album, locked in with this album tonight. Another big single. You're always on my mind. Excuse the bad singing. You're always on my mind. Great chorus. Again, nice. Was there some remixes to that, weren't there? That was a single, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was with Brian Alexander Morgan on the piano.
I'm sure it come out as a single.
Yeah, it did come out as a single because remember in the video, Brian is singing in the video, and I think they're going to be singing it on tour. They're going to be singing it on tour. I think It was a good song. Yeah, it was.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, oh, man. See, Nnamdi's going, damn, it's one of them I didn't, I'm too busy putting the track that I'm bored of at number 10 and forgot about that one.
I did think about it, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't love it. I just thought it was okay. It wouldn't have made my top 10. No,
Wow.
it would have made my top 10. But
I've just got good memories of that track. It's always.
Yeah. I mean, when that album
top 10 now, but
when that album came out, I was I just got into university in Alabama, and all the tracks and the vibe. Yeah, Sheldon, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is the first single off of the Release Attention album, Someone.
Looking at my rollie, and it's about that time
Yeah.
for SWV to drop a rhyme of mine.
Yeah.
I did. Puffy was on fire. He could do anything. I mean, so just the fact that he was in a helicopter, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole Schoolie D looking at my Gucci. It's about that. And then, the video, he's in the helicopter and the whole nine, man. But when I first heard it, man, I liked it immediately, man. It was just like they were right in the pocket with what was actually going on at that time, man. So yeah, that's my number 8.
Okay. Yeah.
Mrs. Swavion joins us. I wonder where she was actually, but she's finally arrived. Arrived.
So you know what, Big Bub, he knows I've been trying to get that interview for almost 3 years. So now he's reunited with Today. But Bob he's not a public, he doesn't like these interview stuff. So, but anyway, he knows that I'm still keeping, and Christopher Williams has just told me that
you'll get him eventually.
Yeah. And Christopher Williams, he says sometime this year. So that would be great. My number 8 is Lose Your Heart. The controversy around the track.
Say that again. Lose your heart or
use your heart.
So use your heart. Sorry, use your heart. Use your heart. I don't know. It was right next to lose your cool. So that's use my cool. Use your heart. Yeah. It was written by Tommy Lucas and the Neptunes. However, when the credits were submitted, it was written and produced by the Neptunes, and Tommy said it was the Neptunes manager that put all that stuff in, but she still got her credit. But she was featured. She's only listed as a vocal producer, but she did the reference track. She wrote the most of the lyrics and stuff like that.
Do you know who else gets the credit on that as well, Nnamdi?
Who's that?
On the interlude of Use Your Heart, Herb Middleton.
Yeah, I did ask him about that, but I can't remember what he said about that. I did ask him because he did that, and he also did the interlude for Daryl Simmons, the one that Daryl Simmons wrote.
And do you know who else gets the credit? Which I was checking that again, so surprised. And if you do, you've really got to listen closely. And it's towards the end of the track. There's one little line, and it's Joe singing the line on it. I was like,
okay. Phil beat you to it. Because she's a Joe encyclopedia.
Yeah, just listening at night, I'm thinking, I'm sure that sounded like Joe. And
yeah. Okay. Mon says TLC were entertainers, SWV were singers. Yeah. And I would agree with that. TLC were definitely, you think about them, their dress and and how their stage. I wasn't a big fan of T-Boss's voice. But yeah, and SW were the singers. Okay. Yes. So, okay.
Number what is it? Number 8.
That was so my number 8 was Use Your Heart. Yeah.
That was the track I was hoping you'd pick from this album. And I thought it has to be in this.
Yeah, that was I think it's the only one I picked for that album. So, Stevie, what makes your number 7?
I'm going back to a soundtrack. I heard it a lot in the clubs around 97, 98, was it? Produced by Timbaland. Gone with Can We Get Freaky Tonight? I think Missy did a rap on it.
Yeah,
showing Puff Daddy how to rap properly, of course.
But he was on the Rhythm Tension album as well. So
I've got a bone to pick with you, actually, Nnamdi. Another one. Why do I remind you of the guy out of Faulty Towers? Can you explain that to me, please? The guy out of Faulty Towers, man. What's going on there? For anybody, for our foreign viewers tonight, I don't know what Faulty Towers was. A really classic comedy on the BBC, and it was in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it had a good run, and there was this guy run a hotel, and he had a very sarcastic mannerism to him, and he had this very off the cuff. I'm thinking that's probably what reminds me of you, Matt. It reminds me, but yeah, Faulty Towers. Yeah.
Sheldon, what was your number 8? Because Phil just reminded me. Did we get your number 8?
Yeah, someone.
Okay, someone. Yeah.
So it's seven. We're at 7 now, and I've
number
got
7. Yeah.
Can We from? Is it the Booty Call soundtrack? I'm sure it was Booty Call.
Can We was on. It was on their album though. It was on their Release Some Tension album. I think it was on the food one, Soul Food.
Was it on that as well?
I think it was on Soul Food.
No.
Booty Call with Jamie Foxx. Okay.
Yeah, Booty Call because it's Soul Food came out before 98. Sure, it did.
Oh, what did they? Did they have a song on Soul Food?
I can't remember. I need to go look at the soundtrack.
Okay. So yeah, Can We? Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So that was. It was on Booty Call 2. It was on Booty Call 2. Okay. So that was Sheldon. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is Weak. I loved it. You know, the vocals, the whole, the lyrical concept of it. For a lot of people who don't realize that is that Brian Alexander Morgan, he wrote it. It was inspired by, his crush on Shantae Moore, and he was originally trying to give it to Charlie Wilson. That's another record that Charlie Wilson missed out on. So yeah, I think that's one of their most legendary records, man.
Yeah, but goodness, you guys didn't really rate the track. I mean, I didn't like the video, but I thought the track okay.
Big Mike just reminded me another track that I forgot. I haven't done my soundtracking tonight.
The record is that, like now when you listen to a lot of R&B songs and stuff like that, it's kind of like you can't really sing along to them. It's like maybe a hook or something like that, maybe. Mm. But that's one of those records, especially like if you were a female, man, you could sing. It was a lot of ear candy to that record. It's a lot of strong lyrics. You could sing along to it. Of course, the chorus, the hook was very strong, very emotional, dramatic, So that's one of the legendary records, man. I couldn't see them ever performing on at a concert and not doing that record, man.
Okay. Wow. It's strange that we, Weak is an incredible track. Yeah. Well, my number 7 is Rain. And I think it's probably, I don't know if it's more popular than Weak now, but it was a good track. But as I said, that album was my favorite SWV album. And it was probably the song I played the least on that album. So I preferred the up tempo. And I think Rain, as cool as it was, just felt slow. I preferred Weak much, much better. But yeah, so yeah, Rain is my number 7. But it was, as I said, definitely a timeless song as well. Yeah.
Rain fell out. It was in my original draft top 10 and fell out when I listened to it again. But it's a strong track. I can't, there's nothing. Can't fault the track there, Nnamdi. So it's a strong track. A lot of people saying why is Weak so. The fact that it's in our top 10s, mind you, Nnamdi's not put it in his yet. So wait, but it's a strong track. The others are stronger. You can't, as we're going along, it's strongest. What number are we at anyway? Number 6.
Yeah, Rain becomes more popular today, but I think back then, I don't know. I mean, Rain becomes more popular today because of Instagram and the whole TikTok stuff. But it wasn't. I don't think it was as big as say Weak was, and I don't think it was an enduring. It's become a lot more popular now. I think during that lockdown. But anyway, so we're number 6. What's your number 6, Stevie?
I went for Someone just because I heard it a lot in the clubs at the time. It's a big club track. On the dance floor. just good memories of being the late 90s, being in a club, the club that I used to go to on a Saturday night, which played all the latest R&B and hip hop tracks. You know, a time that I miss very much.
Yeah.
You know, I do prefer a mix. I think there is a mix. I bought a CD single without the rap on, which I was very happy about. Diddy's rap out. I see Diddy's on IG tonight with some apologising about a video he'd done that he'd behaved.
Yeah.
What that's about, but I'm sure it'll all come out in Diddy time, of course. But we'll see.
So I just to talk on that just real quickly and briefly is that I think it's really a pity when R. Kelly previously and now Diddy with these things is because a lot of us have fond memories of the music that they were responsible for, and you almost now make us feel guilty listening, and we've talked about someone and Sheldon are rapping his part, and it's almost as if, oh, should we even do that? But it's like, well, I need to separate the fact that we were listening to music. So if we ever talk about R. Kelly about the music, we're not then saying no, we want to celebrate them or their behavior and stuff like that. So we're just celebrating the music and celebrating what they did in the music during the time when we were listening to them. So yes, so that's why. So I know Sheldon will go. Yeah, are you gonna? Yeah, so it'd be good just to be able to separate the people and just celebrate the music. This is what we've been doing.
Dare I say, I shouldn't say this, but I'll tell you what, we get a great compilation coming out of prison, won't we? At one point with the way these artists are going, and
it's when you look at that, man, think about it. If you're a fan of music, and if you anyone, sports or whatever, but as we stay in the music lane, you admire these people, and we have an image of who we think they are, and a lot of times because we love the music, it carries over into the person, and we just never know what the person is actually really like. And then what happens is it's a big letdown for a lot of people because they build this up in their mind, and then they have there's an affection, there's an affinity to the music, and it can be very disappointing and then for some people they're able to kind of separate it. Like when you look at R. Kelly's music, he put together a great catalog, but one of the things is in R&B music is that it's so closely aligned to the people, the producers, the celebrity, the R&B person, especially in contemporary R&B, they're larger than life. So it's kind of like hard to separate them. It's like they're one and the same. So it makes it kind of challenging,
Yeah. So we'll try and separate them. But then with that, what's your number 6, Sheldon?
My number 6 is right here.
Well,
which one? The original album version.
I kind of like lining them up both the same because I've heard them so much. So when I hear them, it's just like okay. And of course, the first one was dope because it had that nice bounce to it.
Yeah.
And the Human Nature one was really, really, really great.
So you're putting them together because most of us will separate them, but you want to put them together?
Me personally, it's just the fact that I rated it at number 6 because I've heard it so much. So when I went back and listened to the catalog, it was more about the songs that just grabbed me to where when I start going higher up in the ranking. But again, it's just another, regardless of whether it was the original or whether it was the remix, they just, man, they just were on a hot streak, man.
Yeah. Okay.
They were on a hot streak. Yeah.
Okay, so he has right here is number 6. So my number 6 is similar to Stevie. Someone loved how it just loved the whole vibe of that. And anything that Diddy Puffy had his hands on when it came to production or remix, it was something that would there was that ding ding that went right through. So you have something that keeps you that plays in your mind and stuff. And of course, the rap is lazy and stuff. There's nothing big in it. He's only bigging himself up instead of the artist. But it was what was 97. That was what 97 was about and stuff. and just how SWV were able to, 5 years after their first album, they were still able to say, yeah, we can rock with that. They hated the fact that half their budget went on hip hop artists because it meant that they weren't featured. It felt as if it was a hip hop artist album featuring SWV. But
I'm just thinking how much of the complaint about the budget, how much the budget went on hip hop artists, how much the budget went on Right Here remixes. Because I remember there was a double pack vinyl full of remixes. They got everybody to remix that record, not just Teddy Riley. George G. Mancarante mixes. There was like, who remembers that? What was he called? That rapper, not Showbiz and AG, the funky one, the real tough funk. Oh, I forgot his name. There was the Funky Man remix. There was the mix. There's the Vibe mix. There was all these UK mixes came out. My God, but they spent some money on that. I mean, they're all fantastic.
But the thing is that it's the records are big. But they know, you got the remixes and then you got the videos and things like that. I mean, it's hard to recoup because think about it. If your debut album sells 3 million copies, but you also got to look at the type of deal that they signed. They were a new act. So if they're a new act and they're selling 3 million copies of a record, at that time, you would think that they would make a lot of money, but they probably sign one of those new artist deals.
Yeah. It was really bad. Yeah.
The royalty rate wasn't going to be high, and then you've got your songwriter and the songwriter who's the producer. They're getting a large share of the publishing.
Mm-hmm. No, he go over 80%, and yeah. So
that means they got to split. They got to split up between three, but that's only after they recoup. Yeah, that's only after they recoup everything. So that's the downside, man. Is you can get hot producers on your record, and you can get, and because they had so many hits. It gave them, the record company was pouring money into the album, all the videos and things of that nature and all that, man. But it wasn't a profitable situation for them.
No. And Lily was living out of a hotel. It was like, because they were so big, but when everything fell apart, she had no place. She had nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no one tells you these things at the time. But I think Stevie, but those remixes were selling, they were selling 500,000 copies and stuff.
Yeah.
So they were
making. I remember running around record stores trying so hard because I was trying. There was a double pack vinyl. It was a DJ promo, and I wasn't on to get them DJ promos. You had to be on record company mailing list, be a DJ, and it was before I started DJing, and I was just trying so hard, going in every shop trying to get that promo. Then they released the CD single with about 8 or 9, 10 mixes on it. Thought finally got the mix, got the mixes. Oh, crazy try to get on it. The amount of money you spent.
So number 5.
Number 5, right? My number 5. Let's look at the credits of this track. It says vocal arrangements by what a lady. She's not with us now. Andrea Martin vocally arranged this one. Deary me, sad. And then it is one for the people in the listeners site in the comments who remembers this guy. Never quite took off for him. He did one album. It came out in Japan. A guy called Ivan Mateus. I don't know if any of you have heard of that guy, but he released a nice album in Japan. Ivan Mateus, very good songwriter. Had a big vocal, but just didn't take off for him. And
so he co-wrote with Waterfalls with the En Vogue song that what's the En Vogue song?
Don't let go. Yeah.
Don't let go. So he co-wrote it with Andrea Martin, and then it was produced by what's the name of this guy? It's from
Austin McElroy.
No, for the Outcast producers that they just lost. Organized Noise, yeah. So Organized Noise did the production, but Ivan Mateus and Andrea Martin did the writing. So when you mentioned his name, I'm like, oh yeah, so that's the guy. So he co-wrote, him and Andrea Martin did they co-wrote songs.
Anyway, the track's produced by All Star, and it's You're the One. Again, I heard it a lot of times. Great track from this album.
You're the one for me. I hated that.
Great track. Not bored of that one, Nnamdi, believe it or not. You get bored of listening to that one.
I hated that track. It was really? Don't.
You're the
Oh
one
goodness.
for me. Didn't need a remix. Didn't need any more remixes from that.
I don't know.
That did the
For
job.
somehow, maybe because I wanted Teddy to be on the track. Maybe that was why. But I just didn't like it. I mean, it was okay, but yeah, I didn't like it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, I ran away from that. Yeah, organized noise. Thanks. Yeah. I wish Andrea was still alive. I would have loved to have given her flowers on the show. Yeah. So I didn't. Yeah. Goodness, in fact, I can. That's why, as I said, I managed to get anything, but yeah. But anyway, Sheldon, what's your number 5?
Is Rain. Again, it's a good companion.
What did you say? Sorry.
Rain.
Rain. Okay, Rain.
Yeah, good companion piece to Weak. Obviously the harmonies and
Hold on, Sheldon. So a lot of people agree with you, Stevie. Somebody didn't like the video of the motorbike, and people didn't like the production. So of the other one. So yeah, it wasn't just me. But anyway, sorry,
Well, there's
Sheldon.
a few who like the track. Oh, hold on, Nam. There's a few in here saying they like that track. Someone said, I'm not going to make. Someone said All Star sucks. Wow.
No.
Yes, I loved it. Typical New Jack. Okay, I'm not sure. People are saying they like the track.
I like All Star because forget All Star did After Party for Coffee Brown, so he's he's a big producer. So I just didn't like it. But anyway, sorry, Sheldon, what you were saying.
No, you good. Rain is good companion piece. I think the Rain and Weak is probably the greatest ballads in their catalog. Obviously, when the success of Weak, it's a great follow up. I love the lyrical concept of it. Great Jaco Pastorius sample. Guy was a bassist in the 70s band called Weather Report. Great record, man. Just video was cool, but I loved it, man. It's just when I listen to those records, it's a far cry from female R&B that's out like now. It's totally different, man. But great record. It holds up very well.
Yeah, how do you think Brandy would have, because it was written initially for Brandy. Atlantic paid Brian Alexander Morgan to write it for Brandy. But then Rodney Jerkins had the executive producer and produced that album. I didn't feel comfortable asking him about that. I didn't want to start a riot and say, "Hey, Rodney, how come you didn't let Rain feature in the Brandy stuff?" So I just didn't bother. But when he couldn't get it past Rodney, he got begged by the label to give it to SWV, which then became, the biggest thing on that album. But I do wonder if Brandy had sung it, would we have celebrated the song the same way as we do now with Coco?
I think
with SWV.
I think when you listen to the song and you listen to Brandy's vocal tone and her pitch, that record would have been perfect for her. Now, with the background, because for me, the backgrounds really gave the record, for me, it sold the record. When you listen to because they could have easily did the same thing with Brandy and just multi-tracked her voice. But I think the richness in the chorus, which says a lot for them as a group vocally. But it made Rain what it was. But I think that Brandy would have done an excellent job because she has that way of being able to sing in those different ranges and those different pitches. And that record was just right in the pocket of what she could have actually done. When you look at some of her ballads, I think it probably could have had the potential of being one of her. It could have had the potential of being probably her most signature ballad. It could have been.
Yeah, I think what you guys are saying around Taj and Lily being the background vocals, and that's what Brian would, when I talked to him, he says, "Oh yeah, the background that's what they give, the harmonies and stuff." And I'm like, yes, However, I would have loved to just hear them singing a verse. Like Damien, we would have loved if he had sung on a Future album. We would have like, oh, Damien can sing. So when he comes out with his solo album, we're like, yeah, because we like that track. And so that's the same way. I always just wish that Brian had just given the other girls.
Yeah, you're right. The formula, I think they were just really sticking hard with the formula. So that's why when I look at a lot of producers are talented, man, in terms of what they're doing. But, that's a blind spot for a lot of producers. If you're unable, because it's like, I won't say you're cheating, but you're making great records and it's easy. When you got, obviously, you got to sell Coco on some of those records. Obviously, she wasn't really a fan initially, but it says a lot as a producer if you're able to write songs that are tailored for everybody in the group, especially if they can actually go ahead and they can sing. It says a lot. But when you're able to go, obviously, the record companies and, they focus on the whole entire formula, but to really flesh them out, even if you're writing album songs, album cuts to get their vocals out there, it would have been really, really dope to see what they could have done, but that vocal harmony, to me, that's the SWV ingredient.
Okay.
That's the SWV ingredient, man, that gives them that longevity,
Yeah, but yeah, as I said, it was just, it's always been a pet peeve of mine. Same with intro. Kenny Green, one of the best singers in the group. I would have loved to have Jeff and Buddy on some lead tracks. Just so that at least I knew that they all came in singing. They should have given them a spot. But my number 5. Yeah, go ahead. Go, Sheldon.
When you bring that up, it's like it's a catch-22, man. Because one, you want to do it, but then we saw Blackstreet, and Blackstreet was probably the only group that really emphasized the revolving lead vocalist type situation. But then there are people who believe that was also the main reason why they kind of like diminished, because they had a revolving door of lead singers. But for me, by them having those singers, it gave their songs variety. It gave them a depth that nobody else had. And I think and that's the word that I was missing. If they would have, Lily and Taj would have been able to sing on some records, it probably would have gave them a lot of depth.
As a group, yeah, because Todd did sing in Use Your Heart, so Todd did do, yeah, Jeremy, it was Brian Alexander Morgan who wrote and produced Rain. Okay, so my number 5 is Can We? So that was the Missy and Timbaland, and this is when Timbaland was on fire with his sound effects and his whole stuff. We've spoken about it a lot, but it was a beautiful song, and it's off that Release Your Tension. It was on that album, so I was really glad it was on there. So we're down to number 4, Stevie.
This 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
I don't know whether any of these are in the right positions, but they're just there. And the fact they made my top 10. This one again was probably about the remixes. We just mentioned All Star. All Star did a mix on this. The All Star check, was it the All Star drop check mix? The big rumbling bass line, and he sampled Teddy's vote in the thing. The way that sounded, the whole club shook when that was. And then Teddy's mix was amazing. I mean, even the original mixes were great, but I'm So Into You finds its way at number 4. Whether it should be there at number 4 or higher, it's debatable, but it's there. I've made it. It's there, folks. I'm so into you.
Yeah, both Mucho and Sprang onto they're not. The whole versus situation really got Teddy's camp against Brian Alexander Morgan and All Star into this kind of civil war over that particular, not that one actually. It was the Human Nature mix, and that one as well. So so if you have Mucho, which has and Sprague are both not they're still upset about the whole thing, because they were both in the studio, because both of those remixes, SWV went back to Virginia Beach to re-record their vocals, and so they went down there to re-record the vocals, and All Star joined them as well. So yeah, there's still a lot from that. But so you put is it the All Star version or the whole album, the album version?
I just tagged it. I'm So Into You in brackets mixes. The whole lot shebang was in there.
Oh, good,
again, cost me so much money running around getting the 12-inch import, the CD maxi singles. The original mixes on a 12. Oh God, I'm glad I got them though. So glad I got them. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And if I'm in a charity shop now and I still see them, I still buy them again.
As one does. Chelsea, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is really my all-time favorite SWV record.
How can it be all-time favorite when you have a number 1?
Your all-time favorite is at number 4.
The reason why I have it at number 4, the other three records, because when I'm rating the records, it's more than just my favorite. When I look in terms of what set the tone for them in their careers and the albums, and what drove the albums and all that. That's why. But the reason why, because you can't. I mean, at least
this is why we miss Sheldon. This is why we miss
my top 3. Because the top 3 that I have, 2 of those top 3, they're immovable, man. So you can't just dismiss those records' impact. But the record that I listen to the most from SWV, Use Your Heart, man. It's a very
should be at number 1, Sheldon. Then should be number 1, mate. Stick to your guns, mate.
But I gotta acknowledge the other records. That's why
Okay.
I'm always looking at the reason why I picked what I picked. But this is my all-time favorite one that I play the most.
Okay.
Very sexy record.
Great record. Unbelievable record.
With the BT Express guitar in the background, the sample guitar lick. But I just love
how many samples are going on in that? Because Short uses something else as well. Because it reminds me of Joy Blackstreet. It reminds me of that as well.
Think about
Pharrell. Tammy wrote it.
What's going on in that track? The sample in it.
I was getting ready to say, and that's why I love it so much, is because if you listen to the vocal arrangement and if you listen to the lyrics of the record, you hear Tammy Lucas's fingerprints all over the record. When you go back and hear those Blackstreet records and the records that she collaborated with Teddy, other artists, it's a conversational record, and she's very good. Her writing style is very conversationalist. So when you like somebody's talking to you, they're speaking to you, and there's depth to it. It's a lot of emotion to the record, and of course, when you start listening to the vocal arrangement, how they're singing, you can go back and you can hear Joy. You can go back and Goodbye Love, and just that whole emotive type situation. So that's why I always loved it. Of course, the counter melodies in the record, just a lot going on with it, man. And it's just a shame she didn't get the credit. It would have been dope for her probably to put that record out on her own, But
she did release her version of it.
Okay, I never heard it.
Okay, I'll send it to you guys. Yes, she did release her own version of it.
What, Tammy Lucas released a version of Use Your Heart?
Yes, the reference. Yeah, she did.
Where have you been hiding that one, Nnamdi?
She released it about 6 months ago, and YouTube? Yeah, she put it on her YouTube channel. I'm going to share it up there. So Tammy, her vocals, her own voice. So this was the reference she wrote. She sang, and then they gave that to SW to sing exactly what she came out with. So I'm going to post it up there once. So hers was she uploaded it onto her channel last year. It was last year, but I'll send it to you guys once we finish here.
That's my all-time favorite in terms of just listening to them sing. It's a lot going on vocally there. Obviously the storyline, but it's very romantic, man. Tammy writes some very romantic records. To me, it's like when she writes those records, it's almost like what I like about it, she writes from a female perspective, but it's almost like listening to her. It's the type of stuff that you want a woman to say to you. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way I could describe it, man. But it's very, very cinematic. The production is cinematic. It's plush. The lyrics, the vocal arrangements. You know, to me, that's my all-time. That's another reason that's my all-time favorite record. You know?
Okay.
So
I
have
affinity for their ballads, man. I like their I mean, the mid-tempo, up-tempo stuff is cool, but I really have an affinity for their ballads, man. I think they, out of all those groups in the 90s, they really excel on the ballads, you know.
So, listeners, tonight we are running down our all-time favourite SWV tracks from 10 to 1, and Sheldon's all-time favourite SWV track is number 4.
Number 4.
Out because we're at a loss here. We're at a complete loss.
Well,
Yeah.
we've set precedents before when we did our favorite producers and
I'm
Sheldon,
just thinking, you know, if we do reach our pensioners' really old age, when we're all in the when our sons and daughters shove us in, you know, that hospital you go where you get too old. We'll be doing the podcast from there, and you know, we'll be having, you know, forgetful thoughts, but that's definitely one of them, innit? My all-time favorite track is at number 4.
4.
Right, yeah.
Goodness.
Someone please check that Sheldon's okay, will you? Somebody check that he's all right.
Steve, that's clarity.
So yeah, okay. So Jeremy answered the question. So Tammy wrote it alongside the Neptunes. However, the credits. It was the credits they did not have. The Neptunes manager did not put the credits of Tammy as a writer in some places. Tammy got her publishing, but Pharrell's manager gave the Neptunes all the credits. So the same way if the track they did for Boy Meets Girl or something for Total, it was the same. Tammy wrote it and did the vocal arrangements, but they took her name away from the actual credits, even though she got her publishing. So that was a bone of contention, especially when she taught them all the whole thing. So my number 4 is at the time it wasn't my favorite at the time, and it still is nowhere near my favorite, but it was, I mean, to have Teddy, Michael, and SWV combined on this track. You could hear Teddy's drums. You could hear how his drum programming was, and then having Michael in the background stuff. It was. Yeah, God, I wanted that. You know, I bought the Free Willy soundtrack just because of that. You know, it was such an amazing stuff to see the Teddy's creativity and stuff. But this is the song that has the contention because All Star says no, he got the drum sample and took it to Teddy's team, and then and all Teddy did was sweeten it up or stuff like that. But Teddy's Mucho and Parag would say no, what All Star brought over didn't work, so they couldn't play his song, so they had to recreate what they had. So, but anyway, it's still number 4. That's the Human Nature remix of Right Here. Big track. I think it's probably one of the biggest ones out there, but went to number 2 on the Billboard 100, the highest placed single. But that's my number 4.
Wow, only number 4. Again, Sheldon's top 10 just continues to baffle us every week. It's like a drama in itself, isn't it? The way he comes up with things is, I'm just still baffled by that. But number 3, you just mentioned it there, Nnamdi. I may have said it in a previous podcast that it's just how I felt when I first heard that remix, the Human Nature remix, and how it made me feel. If you consider the amount of music that's being chucked out now, and to even have a remix being put out that blows your head away, it just doesn't happen now. It doesn't. You've got to remember, if we have heard it so many times, some of you might be tired of hearing it, but that is it's a mind blow. It just took things R&B to the next level.
Yeah.
Just so there was a lot of remixes coming out back then, but that remix just mind blowing. I mean, it was initially when I'm thinking about my SWT top 10, I'm thinking, well, right here's got to be at number 1, but it didn't end up being there. But
yeah,
number 3. It's number 3. It's somehow landed at number 3. It's a classic.
Yeah, it is. It was played everywhere, but it was such
It has to be, your top 10. Has it been in your top 10 yet? Yeah, Sheldon at number 6, wasn't it? Was it number 6, Sheldon?
Yeah, I think what was strange about I never expected it. I don't know if we ever do that where the first time you hear it, it just seems like the first time I heard it, like I knew it was Teddy, because back in those days, if I hear Teddy production, I'll know instantly. And but yeah, and then you can hear Michael in the background. He never.
How many tracks has sampled that drum loop at the beginning? I've heard so many tracks sample that.
Yeah. But is it not the same for My Cutie?
What's that?
The drums for
No.
My Cutie. Dum, 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 dum. It starts off like that. You know what? Dum.
Oh, that drum loop on that remix, which was like nothing else. It was completely. It sounded like a completely new rhythm drum pattern. Everything.
Okay, I'm kind of twisted. The remix of what you talking about, Steve? What remix?
I'm talking about the Human Nature mix.
Oh yeah.
That drum programming sounded completely. That's what I mean about a new level. Forget the Human Nature thing coming out. I'm talking about the actual loop, the drums, and I don't know who did it. It was Teddy or there's always the debates, but that just on another level. It's a completely different drum loop for me. That.
Yeah. Okay. Sheldon, number 3.
My number 3 is the one you all love to hate. You're the one for me. I love it. I loved it. I loved it, man. I loved the bounce. I loved it.
It's a great track. You're the one for me.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I was like, okay. It put me to sleep quickly. Yeah.
You didn't like
Nnamdi? No, I think that somebody mentioned the video. I think the video was one. I just felt it felt lazy. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it. I skipped it.
The vocal was fantastic on that.
Yeah, vocally it was fine, but it's the music. I just didn't like the music. Yeah,
man, that's a great record, man.
I know.
Okay. Yeah.
You said you fell asleep. It was like lazy. What's up?
It
man?
felt sleepy. Yeah, with that. But my number 3 is a track that I didn't understand the meaning of the track until I saw them on Video Soul with Donnie Simpson, and I can still remember sitting, when I was living with my uncle in Alabama, watching Video Soul, watching Donnie Simpson talk to the 3 ladies and says, so what's this song about? So you guys are good Christian girls singing in the church, and now you're having a track called Downtown. And I was thinking, I thought it was about I honestly, at the time, had no idea what the song was about. I'm just like, oh, Downtown. I'm thinking, oh, man, you can have no idea what the song. So I was thinking, what's he talking about? Like, Christian, that's a beautiful track. The vocals, the background vocals, amazing. I think it was a real powerful R&B track, be it that I had no idea what they were singing about at the time until Donnie brought it up and stuff and embarrassed them there and stuff. But I think it was one of the. I love that track. Loved the. It was when I think back at the time, it was proper R&B. It was one of the. Definitely one of the most central R&B tracks and stuff. Yeah, some of us were too young to understand what it, but it just felt to me like, hey, that was just a nice track. Downtown, the All-Star remix. Did you? Had Silk Freak Me on it. Did you ever hear that?
No, I never. You know, you got took me for a loop. You guys were talking about the right here and then the drum loop, and I'm playing it. And you're right, that drum loop was like a hip hop breakbeat. If you go back and listen to it, it's by the Headhunters. It's called God Funky, and it's got that shuffle.
Right, I see.
One that you hear all the time. A lot of people use that, like you said. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because downtown. Yeah, downtown. The whole breakdown and stuff like that. Jackie was funny. Jackie McGee was talking about it. She says she knows the writer of it. Who does she have on her stuff? But yeah, I love the track. I didn't hear the remixes. So you guys, because I was in the States, and I don't know the way we didn't get the remixes like as much as you guys had them in Europe. So, and I know Sheldon, you were in the UK, but I was in the US, and I don't remember those remixes. All the remixes. I think on their remix album they had some of them, but I would just remember the radio version and the album stuff like that.
Nnamdi's heard the record. He thought they was going downtown.
Yeah. The city center. You know,
he thought they was going to the high street.
Yeah, high street. Yeah. City center. Like, okay, yeah. I need to go downtown LA or something like that. Because that's like,
I'll tell you what on that talk, because I guess that was like a slang at the time. It was that, it was a slang, an R&B. Yeah. I mean, what's more concerning is the slang that's out now. And there's one it's a generational. If I said to you, Nnamdi, the word body count, what would that mean to you?
Weight.
What body count? Someone's
like
body count.
Yeah, somebody's overweight and stuff like their weight.
Someone's been. Let's say someone's been murdered, like a body.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now the younger generation are using that term as how many people they've slept with. Just terrible, awful. What's your body? They're saying to each other, "What's your body count?"
Wow.
I mean, why would you ask?
Right, and then the whole downtown. That was more like that was one of those type of slang too. That was like, and then it worked.
What I mean, the difference.
Worked its way into a record. It worked its way into a record. Yeah.
At least downtown, it leaves you. It leaves you to your imagination. Whereas body count, I think it's a disgrace. I think that's disgraceful. That asking a girl like, "What's your body count?" Just classless. You know what I mean? Disgraceful.
Yeah, kids these days.
What do I know? What number are we up to now?
So number 2. What's your number 2?
It's Use Your Heart. It's gone to number 2 on mine.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's fun. It's all the way number. I was like, whoa, but it's a very soulful record. When I listen to it, really hits me out. It gets me there. It does get me there, that track.
Okay.
Really gets me there. And I guess it's aged well. It's a track that's aged very, very well, I think.
Yeah. Well,
what I challenge both of y'all to do is that when you go to you Google and just Google the lyrics and just read the lyrics. Don't try to sing it. Just read the lyrics and you'll see exactly what I mean, why that record is so great. Because it's very poetic, but it's very conversational. Yeah.
Nnamdi, I was toying. It was that, and the other track was I was trying. Should it be number 1 but the other one just beat it. But it could be number 1 for me. That it should have been your number 1. But
which one?
Your favorite track. But what can I say? It's just like say it's a very strong test of time track that it will stand the test of time. I think.
Okay. Yeah. No. It wasn't. Yeah, no. As I said, it wasn't one of my favorites. But what did I put? I put it on number 8. Yeah.
It's got the Neptunes. It's got all the ingredients you want on a track, Nnamdi. So I'm really surprised. But it's made his top 10. So
yeah.
Listen to it. Listen to Blackstreet's Tonight's the Night, and then listen to that one, and you can just Tammy's. You could
mix them both together, segue in, and
listen to the whole vibe, man. It's just it's good, really good.
For those who don't know, I've just posted the Tammy Lucas's version of it right there. So Sheldon, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Anything.
Oh my God!
Anything?
Wow.
Another song I didn't like it.
That's what I mean by your top. I'm just like, oh, you tell me to put that above Use Your Heart.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. And
Which mix? It's about the album mix or the remix?
You look in I'm gonna share this with you.
Okay.
When that album came out in '92, man, I remember like, you know, guys and females were buying the record, man, and I just had no desire to buy it. It was just okay, you know, because I mean I saw the cover and I was like, okay, who is this, you know, but you know, the song, the singles, man, were just coming out, and anything, man. They play. I mean, I was in Germany at the time when the joint came out, but that record was, man, they played it all the time, man.
It was big around the world, yeah. Do 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 do, like this, yo, like that, yo, yeah.
And just, you know, and it was a great record. It had that '90s sound, man. So, and that really set them up. Man. So, I don't, even though it's not my favorite record. It's not my favorite record, but what it is that. But I acknowledge that my number one record, this one, and then the right. I mean, without those records, it's not happening for them, man.
So, do we change the title of our shows to our top 10 songs that, even though they're not our favorites, but they could be? Because, you know, I think I learned I'll hold my hand up. When we did our producers, Teddy was my favorite, but I went some crazy nonsense and put Quincy Jones number 1, Jimmy and Terry number 2, and I learned my lesson from that.
But you know, but about it, you can have a favorite, but when you look in terms of why you rank Quincy Jones number 1,
no, I don't rank it. If someone was saying who do I think are the best producers, then I probably would have done that. But if you're talking about my favorite, Teddy would have just been number 1, and then everything else is everyone else is number.
But would have done that, you still would have felt bad about ranking.
Oh no, Teddy's number 1, and then every song I did on every album I bought was based on whether Teddy did a remix or he was featured or any of his people on it. That's how I bought my music.
Then why was Quincy number 1 though?
Because I just didn't understand the assignment.
No, the assignment is
I think I put Quincy as number 1 because if I thought about as a great producer, but he was never my favorite. It's Teddy, then everyone else. And I don't even know if I had a number 2. If I had Teddy, who would come in number? Now, as I'm getting older, I probably would have maybe Tim and Bob or Jimmy and Terry, and I think Ellie and Babyface. But it was always, you know, number 2 could fit. From 2 to 10 could switch around. Yeah, Devontae could switch in, but Teddy was always. It's just like his Teddy on his own. Then everyone else could be. You know, he could just pick do a lottery.
Let me ask you this, Sheldon.
Yeah.
Out of all them SWV tracks, which I'll ask you after your number 1. We're not
Okay.
number 1
Okay, after he's number 1.
I'll end up giving you number 2.
Go ahead and ask me.
Which one means the most to you? Which track means the most?
Use Your Heart.
There's your number 1 then. Should be your number 1, Nnamdi.
Yeah, I mean it's you know, because my number 1 is based on anyway, let's go. My number 2, I'll go to my number 2, is a track that, even though I didn't like the video, I think it's probably is their signature track. Not my favorite, but I think it's their signature track that they close the show with this song, because it's probably their most enduring, and that's Weak. I think it's because it's easy to sing. I think it's just that sense where we can all join in. It's always, you know, one of those like.
So what happened in the video?
The video, they were like in a boxing ring and like in a gym.
I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, they were like in a gym, like in a boxing ring. And even Brian said he hated the video. But I think one of the things about Weak was it's just a song where everyone, I can just see everyone, you know how the cop sing Never Walk Alone. Everyone just hands over the shoulder. I get so weak. It feels just like, come on, one more time. Everyone join in. So it feels like for now, even if you listen to it now, it's like everyone can sing along with it and everything. Yeah. I think it's their most enduring track. I think it's Leon was saying SWV made some terrible videos. I don't even know if there's any video that even if they made any videos that I've thought like,
I didn't understand the Right Here video where they're on. It looked like they're on some island.
Yeah, riding horses.
I never understood that video.
Yeah,
but just didn't seem to work with.
I can just remember horses, and then
maybe it was the human nature mix, or they were with nature. Maybe that was the whole idea of it. I don't know. Colin joined us. He's just got back from his singing gig somewhere.
Yeah.
Good into Colin.
So yeah, so we've just going down. So yeah, they were fishing. Sha was in the week video. I need to look at that week video again. But anyway, yeah. Somebody asked about Fine Time. Well, we haven't done our top. We're number one. So before we get to our number one, can we get Stevie? Do you want to count down your 10? And then honorable mentions.
My honorable mentions. Rain was originally in the 10, but fell out, so it fell into my honorable mentions. It is a brilliant track. I picked a couple of tracks from the 2012 album, I Missed Us. I picked Cosign and All About You. If you've not listened to that album, check it out. Then I went for On and On from 1996. I go on and on. I like that. I picked Fine Time from 96. Got a fine ballad. And then I picked the new Jack track from 92, the debut, Give It To Me, which is the other new Jack track. So number 10, I've got Think You're Gonna Like It. Number 9, I've got Weak. Number 8, You're Always On My Mind. 7, Can We. 6, Someone. 5, You're the One. 4, I'm So Into You mixes. 3, Right Here mixes. Number 2, I've got Use Your Heart. And the number 1, which even surprised myself, but I realise when I listen to it, I can't get the chorus out of my head, and it takes me back to my days of, like you say, college days, teenagers going into your early 20s, where as guys we're coming into our sexual prime, where you're chasing girls and you're hearing all these sexual slangs, so that might give it away. And there is, even though I understand what that track is, what the girls are saying in that track, there's still there's an innocence to it, and girls always, for them to, give themselves to a man, it's a big thing. I understand it's an whereas guys, it's a physical thing. We see a girl, we see the physical attributes of a woman, and we want to go, dare I say it, the title of the song, we want to go there. But whereas a woman, it's more emotional, and I think it comes across so well in that track. But it's found its way at number 1, and that's Downtown. Downtown is my number 1 SWV favourite record.
Okay,
there we go, guys.
Okay,
It's up any other way. It's found its way to number 1, but I love it. Great record.
Okay,
I might say that word. It's very clever. I think it's a very clever. I'm not saying they came up with that. They probably heard it around the way or whatever their area.
But somebody wrote the track and they sang it and stuff. But yeah. I mean, as I said, it was my number 3, and it's a track that if I hear it now, I still vibe to it. So I made sure I played songs that I know that if I listen to, that there was a lot in there. As I said, I still haven't really. I mean, if I listen to the words a little bit more carefully now, I'm probably understand what they're talking about. But I just, yeah. So okay, Sheldon.
The thought of a lady going downtown is a very exciting thought for a man. And anyway, Sheldon, let's go. Let's move on.
Welcome, Michael, champion. Go ahead, Sheldon.
That's hilarious, man. My number 1. Well, let me go my 10. 10
honorable mentions, and then your 10.
Yeah, honorable mentions. Okay, honorable mentions is let me see. I'm going off some of their later albums. On Tonight from their 2016 album, I like that a lot. Cosign from their 2012 album, I Miss You, was nice. They did a remake, If Only You Knew, 2012. And then there was a hot they sang the hook to a song called Hey DJ, which was a remake of the world famous Supreme Team song. AZ remade it, and they did the hook. I remember when it came out, I was trying to find the single, and it never got released. But I saw the video a lot, heard it on the radio.
What was that one, Sheldon?
Hey DJ.
Oh yeah, with AZ, yeah.
That was really nice, and I could never find it, man. It was MIA. So my number 10, It's About You. Number 9, Finally. Number 8, Someone. 7 is Weak. 6 is Right Here. 5 is Rain. 4 is Use Your Heart. 3 is You're the One for Me. 2 is Anything. And number 1, I'm So Into You, the record that really just, that would gave him that, that really, you hit a single, then you hit a double, then you hit a home run, man. Just, I mean, again, when that album first came out, I really wasn't a super fan of it, man. But as they started going deep into the singles, I really started paying attention. And the only SWV album I ever bought was that second one, New Beginning, because I wasn't really a fan of like female groups like that. But those singles, man, I bought some of the remixes and things of that nature, man. So, but, I'm So Into You, that was it. It had that nice bounce of that early 90s, mid 90s or whatever, which was dope, man. And it just gave them, it just showed what they could do, man, in terms of, it set them apart from everybody else. It kind of caught me off guard, man, what they were able to do with their first album. So that's my number 1.
Yeah, no, definitely a very good list there. So I'm going to go down some honorable mentions. Fine Time, it was close to getting in. I hadn't really thought of the track until Brian was saying that he got upset that when they came out with New Beginning, they didn't release it because that could have really helped that album. Because New Beginning I wouldn't say a flop. It just went gold.
It went platinum.
Maybe it has gone now, but at the time it just didn't do well. But Fine Time.
Think about it. They did 3 million first, and then they messed around and they only did platinum. Then that could be considered like a letdown.
Yeah, because and I think Brian did maybe 6, 7 first album, did just 2 in the second. Another honorable mention is You're Always on My Mind. It was, beautiful first album and stuff, and Brian singing along with them. It was good to be able to have him feature in there. The track that they did, Tonight's the Night with Blackstreet. Okay, I mean, it was good seeing them. I liked the video with Craig Mack and the whole thing. Although, as most of us would always say, we love the original version, but it was a good single. It was a good matchup with them. And then so those are the honorable mentions. So my number 10 is Anything, because it was a real big push for that Above the Rim soundtrack. Number 9 was Lose My Cool featuring Redman. Release Intention was my favorite album. Number 8 was Use Your Heart. I've sent you guys the link of Tammy Lucas' version of it, her demo version, and I've posted in the chat. Number 7 was Rain. Beautiful song, but I don't think it's as powerful as Weak. Number 6 is Someone. Love the whole Diddy's rap and the vibe of that. Then number 6 was Someone. With Missy. No, not Missy. Someone was who was on who? Someone who rapped on was Puff? Yeah, he was on Someone, sorry. Can We was number 5, and that was with Missy. And number 4 was Right Here, Human Nature remix. Number 3 was Downtown. Number 2 is Weak. And number 1 is I think and I think this came out to one of my all-time favorite Teddy remixes. I didn't like the original version of this track, not that it was bad, but when Teddy did the check 1 check 2 with the rap, I mean, I can still listen to it today. I'm So Into You, Teddy Riley remix with the Rex and Effect check 1. Oh goodness, it's and they re-recorded. They so this isn't that he, when you do remixes, then you get the vocals and chop it up. They flew into Virginia. They re-recorded that track and Human Nature remix, and I just love that whole. That was Teddy just when he was on top of his game in his studio and doing that remix and stuff, and how SWV joined in. So that was my number one. My number one is I'm So Into You, Teddy Riley remix. My favorite one for that. So yeah, so that's top 10. So we've been doing this for yeah. But yeah, guys. Well, I mean, it's been great having you guys join along with us. It's been I mean, when you look back, it's strange that both we all, Sheldon and Stevie, we all kind of, it felt like, as Sheldon says, that greatest hits album where we have all that big hits. In previous episodes, we focused a lot on album cuts because we really researched. But this time around, it felt as if they had so many real hits that really set them apart that we couldn't overlook them.
Check this out. I want to share something with you guys real quick. I'm on the recording industry RIAA Gold and Platinum list. So the SWV, the first album, it comes out in October 1992. All right. So it goes gold in March 93. In May 93, it goes platinum. In September 93, it goes double platinum, right?
Wow.
And then and then it sells another 1 million copies between September 1993 and February 1996. So you're talking about the way that album was rolling, man. It was really major. And then when you look at it, and here it is, at the time when it goes triple platinum in February 96, New Beginning comes out in April of 96. It goes gold in July 96, and then it goes platinum in 1996. So I can understand how, when you look in terms of the first album being worked to give it time to breathe for the singles to come out, I can understand how Lily could be upset, because think about it, is that the album finally, it goes platinum May, June, July, August, September. It goes platinum in 5 months, okay? So by the time the album goes platinum in 5 months, obviously they're at the point where they're in the studio, like working on the third album, while the second album is still got some legs on it. So by the time A New Beginning goes platinum in September 96, we're talking about it's released. The next album is released almost 11 months later in August 97, and then it goes gold in May 98. So when you look at that, I mean, when you look at this, I mean, the album, A New Beginning, there were some pretty good other songs on there, man. So they could have maybe worked the album for a little bit longer, but they probably felt that, once the album peaked at 1 million, they was like, okay, that's as much as it's going to sell. We're just going to go ahead and rush the other one out. Because remember, you also got to look in terms of the collaborators who they have, trying to line those collaborators up, trying to get them collaborators on recording schedule, and you want to take advantage of them, because at the time, Missy's coming into her own, Puffy is hot, Redman is hot, Busta Rhymes. Remember, Busta Rhymes is hot off of Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See. So when they're putting that album out, they want to capitalize also on the hotness of these rap artists, because then, now that can, obviously sell the record. But I can understand how she could be frustrated between album number 2 and album number 3, But think about it. When you look, it's not too many R&B groups, female groups in that era who were able to have that momentum that could go back and forth, and then SWV has a lot of gold and platinum singles,
Yeah, especially those remixes.
Yeah. Like here it is. I'm So Into You is platinum, right? Now, I'm So Into You comes out in 93. All right. It finally goes platinum in September 2022. So you're talking about the sales, the physical sales, all the way up to the streaming. Same situation with Week. Week came out in April 93. It went gold in July 93, and then July 93 it went platinum the same day. When you look at right here, it went platinum in a month, August 92 to September 92. You know, and then when they come out with the record Someone, it comes out July 97, September 97 is gold. You know?
Yeah. So they had the hits. I mean, Stevie, what are your thoughts as we wrap up this segment of?
I'm just wondering where are you getting all that information from, Sheldon?
I'm getting it from the Recording Industry Association of America. It has
that's good, man.
It has all the gold and platinum singles. So when you kind of like look at that, and it's important to kind of consider that, because when we say, okay, the first record is 3 million, but it didn't go 3 million right off the bat. It sold maybe 2 million in that first year it came out. But the fact that it continued to sell another 3 years, man, that's a testament to that album's popularity. That's why I kind of like when I look at those other songs that I rated high, they weren't necessarily my favorites, but you know,
there's no excuse, Sheldon.
They did right here. Right here went gold like in 2 months, July to September. And then think about it.
What was the peak? What was it? Was SWV's peak? Did they peak with Right Here, the Human Nature remix? Then
you mean as far as like the sales or whatever?
The overall peak. You know, when you look at, because to me, did it go on a downward trajectory for that after that?
I would say this. There was a high expectation for them going into that second album, right? High expectations after what they did. I think that I would say the creative peak, because the writers, Brian Alexander Morgan wrote a lot of those records. But I would say that in terms of you could say it was their profile as artists. It probably peaked, because remember, that's 92 to maybe 94. That they're out there like that, 92 to 94, to where that's like some people put out like 2 or 3 albums in the course of a 2-year period, 3-year period. So I would say that they visually, I could say that they you could say that was their peak. That first album was their peak when you look at the singles. But the thing is that but from a bigger picture perspective, is that there's a peak, but no one stays there for a long time. But then they still, even though they didn't plateau, they didn't drop. They just maintained. They came off that peak, which is, remember, sometimes people's peak comes on the second or third album. That happened to them on the first album, so they kind of leveled off.
I don't know. I think it went right up to Right Here, went straight up there.
Yeah.
Then I felt it dropped with the 96 album. Then I felt it did when they released Can We again in the late 90s. I think it went right back up there, because that record was everywhere.
I think it was. I think the second album was like a much lower profile record, because
down, and they had another semi peak again, didn't they, in the late 90s?
Yeah, but it didn't sell. The third album didn't sell as much, and I think the big part was the formula they had was Brian does about half their records. He knows their voices, he knows the blend. And then, you fill it in with others, and they went away from that. So think about it. Brian wrote about 7 songs in the first album, wrote 2 or 3 in the second, then wrote 1 in the third. And the sales showcased his level of involvement.
The identity disappeared. The brand, in terms of they were right in the pocket stylistically, but their brand kind of suffered, because you didn't, those signature SWV ballads and things that you didn't, and the R&B records, that kind of went away. That went away. But I think that it was sacrificed for them to now go into that trendy vein of that hip hop R&B at the time. But I think that they peaked on the first album, because the first album ran for 2 years, and think about it, it sold 3 million copies in 4 years. Then they kind of slight level off on the second album, even though it was great. And then
I don't know about great. It was immature, but it was different. Think about it. I think the only person who made that transition was, say, Mary, who came out street, then with My Life really kept going up with each album. I think, but she kept, Puffy did the first, did the second,
But then,
was away from the third, but she was at a different level where she got the really hot producers to really take her sound up. I think
there's a lot of people though, and you're right. But there's a lot of people who feel like after what's the 411, because that not the 411, My Life, so.
But that Share My World is probably my favorite Mary album.
We need to save that debate for Mary's top 10.
Well, yeah, we probably will have Mary. Yeah, we'll probably do Mary. Probably
Right.
Yeah.
But I say this though is that, but what I'm saying is that just to kind of wrap that up is that that's the sentimental record that people have, and the records that she had, they kind of deviated from that, just in the same way with the SWV is that it, whether it was All Star or Brian Alexander Morgan, they were very critical to the sound of them. That's like Blackstreet doing a record after doing 3 records with Teddy Riley, and all of a sudden they come out with a record and then there's no Teddy Riley. It could be a good record, but if he's not there, it's a certain ingredient that's actually missing, whether it's a sentimental feeling or whether there's an actual creative absence. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Anyway, well, guys, as always, having you guys joining in the debate and commenting, it makes the show, because we don't read up all the comments, read them out, but we read them as we're discussing and stuff, and it's interesting to see what you guys have listed in your top 10, what tracks make it and what tracks don't make it. But we all agree that SWV are really a staple from the 90s. They had their own lane, but what's also amazing is that they're highly celebrated today. They're now headlining an arena tour. They did a tour last year with Jodeci, and they're headlining one now with Escape. And actually, what I've just found out that it's going to be a co-headline. So both groups are going to be on the stage together, and it's like, so there's not going to be like Escape sing and then SW bring out their band. The same band, the girls will be on the stage, very similar to Versus. So they will sing, but I think there are 30 dates, and in 15 dates, Escape will sing the last song, and the other 15, SWV will sing the last song. But they'll both be on stage celebrating each other, learning that actually being together is better than when they're sort of squabbling stuff. So look out for the tour. Tickets on sale. Total supporting them with 702 and Maya as well. So final words, Stevie, then Sheldon.
Really enjoyed the show. As usual, everybody, thank you so much for watching tonight and all your comments, and to people who watching after, really appreciate you joining us on this podcast. I don't know how long we can keep doing this for, but I really enjoy it. It's something I really enjoy on a Sunday night. So, and Sheldon, good to see you back tonight in fine form, Sheldon, in fine form.
Yeah, Sheldon, final words.
Interviews that are coming on the Halftime Chat channel, because it's getting stronger and stronger now. So, it's getting very strong. So, yeah.
Yeah,
and we're going to figure out what we're going to do next, what our next podcast top 10 is going to be. And don't say Mary J, because I'm just not ready to do that one. Not ready to do Mary J yet. Let's get it back to the New Jack. We need to get it back to the New Jack, guys.
We'll vote on that. Don't worry.
Let's land that plane anyway. Land the plane now. Let's take. Yeah. Let's go.
Sheldon, what's your?
Yeah. Thank everybody for spending your Sunday with us, and go back and if you haven't, listened to this music in a long period of time, go back and explore those records. Go stream the records. If you got your own personal collection, go back and revisit it. And I'm sure you'll come away with a renewed appreciation for SWV. You may discover some things that you probably, passed up at a certain period of time in your life, but it's great to see them still around doing their thing. And testament to what they put down, the work they put in the 90s going into the 2000s. So, salute to SWV.
Yeah. And just to wrap up, yeah, it is. I mean, the reasons we do this is, a lot of us, what we do ahead of time is to go play all the labels, the albums. So like we did Troop, listen to all the albums, and like really reacquainted myself with some of the stuff, and a lot of my list was album cuts, not so much with SWV this time around. But it's important that you guys, I know we're not enjoying the music, not all of us are enjoying the music now, but there's the access to listen to some of these legacy artists are really there. So we appreciate every single one of you. As Stevie said, Keith Anders, his interview starts tomorrow. He's the one who wrote Last Night for As Yet. Did a lot of different. He talks about how he worked with Cameo and lots of other people. So definitely an underrated producer.
Please
And
watch the guy needs his flowers. I mean, what is
yeah.
he's
So
worked with After 7. I don't want to give it all away, but it's a great interview.
Yeah. So it's going to be dropping his episode stuff now. Bobby Robinson from Tim and Bob still playing. If you saw what he'd mentioned about Athena Cage and other things, so he's still playing. And I was supposed to interview Howard Hewitt yesterday, but he's flying into the UK tomorrow, so we couldn't get that sorted out. But that would be after he gets back. John B, I did interview him for 2 hours, but I need to start working on that. And then Tony Rich, nobody knows, finally came back, so I'm gonna interview him next week. So yes, and then Mary Brown from Abstract and Eminem, and she's also forgotten that she actually was a part of the part of Untouchables, and she did a lot of writing for the Untouchables, and also did stuff with Destiny's Child as well in other places. And as I mentioned, Christopher Williams has said yes, he's going to interview. He's getting ready to release some new music, so he wants to work around that. So it's people want to be celebrated, enjoy being celebrated, and because we're keeping it positive, that's what gives us an opportunity as well. But we'll let you know what we do next. But from now, we'll see you guys next time.
One last thing I want to say, which kind of wraps up this podcast tonight. Everybody out there, good night, and always remember this: Sheldon, use your heart. Good night.